Welcome back. We are on part 2, page 5, and we have some pre-cuts. The first one is a 2 3/4 by 8 5/8, and we called it a side pocket. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 2 3/4 across. We scored at a half. Next, we turned it. We are now 8 5/8 across. We scored at a half and 8 1/8. Next, we cut two pieces that were 6 1/8 by 6 3/4. We called one a top flip. The other one is our bottom flip. They are scored exactly the same. We laid these on our scoring board. We are 6 3/4 across. We scored at a half and 5/8. Last one, 2 1/8 by 7 1/2. We just called it a belly band. There's no scoring. In your paper pack, you will find this print, and on the back, it is this. So if you look, you'll notice the writing is going the right way on this one, and as well as this, but we're going to turn one upside down, and we'll just cut page 5 and 6 together. We will turn it sideways, so your writing is going to be up here, down here, on both of your pages. Measure over 7 5/8 and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. One is still upside down, print. One is going the right way. Measure over 9 7/8 and cut. So what we're going to do is the one that has a bigger print off to the left, we'll work with that. The one that has the print off to the right, we're going to save that for our page 6. Let's go ahead and get our pocket ready. Whoops! I am so clumsy, I have to tell you. I've got Band-Aids all over me. I burned myself here, and I gouged myself here. I tell you, I'm the most clumsiest person in the world. Anyway, cut out the squares. We'll fold back and use our glue to assemble the pocket. All right, actually, let's swap these out because I don't want to cover up the print. So the one with the print on the left, put that for page 6. We'll just use the one that we had set off to the side for that. All right, here goes our side pocket. The opening is this way. Yeah, I didn't think about that. So we'll just do it like this, definitely. No harm. All right, again, opening here. Let's put this down, line it up with top and bottom, over to the side. Next, what we have is our top flip and our bottom flip. Let's go ahead and fold on those score lines. And we'll work with the bottom flip first, and our little hinge is at the bottom, and that bottom score line we are going to pinch and crease. We'll still be able to see our other. Now when you hook that back on, I want you to stay at least a ½ inch away from your side. So just kind of get it in there, and we'll get that down. The reason why we're staying that about a ½ inch from the side is to keep the bulk down, because when this goes in our book, I don't want a big bulk down near our hinge of our book. So we have that flat, leave it there. Here is our top flip, and you will have a score line at the top. We're going to go ahead and hook that on, and we will line it up with the other one. And we'll check to make sure no glue seeped. I'll do that really quick. Nothing. Okay. Let's go ahead and push back, and push to line this up. In your reserves, you'll have cuttings from your page here. And the one we are looking for is the one that has the print going the right way. Oh, I have got the sun coming in and it is shadowed. I'm going to get this down and then take a break because everything is just a shadowy mess here. Anyway, I'm going to bring this up. There you go. We want the ones with the flowers at the bottom. We're going to verify it's going to fit top to bottom, and we'll bring it over to the left, and that will give us a little white lip. Let's glue that down. And I'm going to take a break. I don't have any blinds on my windows yet upstairs, so I have to kind of time the filming so we don't get this shadowy effect in the film, because it's really bad. So, but I'll show you what I got. I'm gonna try and get this out of the sun as best I can. Okay, I'll be right back. Well, some of the shadows are gone with the light, so we're gonna get prepared here. I think you can see well enough. In your paper pack, you will find this. On the back, it is this. Now, I want you to put this on your paper cutter, and I want you to cut out each square. Make sure that when you're cutting it, we don't want the gold little trim around it. So we're just going to cut straight down, and then we'll chop off anything that shows. And the same thing here, and I'll show you mine when I'm done. I have mine cut. So as you can see, I don't have any of the gold trim around them now. Next, in your reserves, here comes that sunlight again. We're gonna put this on our paper cutter and cut out this one right here. So let's do that really quick. So the first piece I would like you to grab, and this is what mine looks like. We still have some cutting to do on this. The one that says Imagine, we are going to glue it down. I'm gonna keep my pink flower up here, but it's gonna center in there. And if you need to trim to give yourself a little more of a white border, do so. I think mine's pretty good. So first things first, let's get that down. I have this down. I'm going to push this off to the side. Now grab your belly band, okay? We're going to work with that. Now on this particular piece, I want you to put this on your paper cutter, and I want you to cut off this excess. So all you have is the bottom line of the base. So this is what you should have, okay? Next, what I'd like you to do is place this down. You will leave yourself just a little teeny bit, a 1/16 or less of white. I have about a 1/16 inch down there, and I'm going to center that on there. This is where we're going to measure to fit and use our pencil. And this is not a great time for that sun to keep coming back around. I love the sun, but anyway. So I'm going to hold this up at the top. We're just going to look right now. Oh, I think you can see that. At the top of our white cardstock, we're going to come down about a 1/16. Now, a 1/16 will not cut into the word walk. It's going to go right above that. So let's do that really quick. I'm going to make sure mine's lined up, and I'll make a pencil mark, and I will cut. This is what I have. And again, I'm going to have to pause the video here, I think. The sunshine. I tried to put something up over the window, but it didn't help much. I don't have anything that's dark enough. And so now we're just going to center it on there and glue this piece down. This should fit. Now, if you only have a sliver, I mean, just a sliver of white, that's acceptable, totally. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is I want you to take this bottom flip, pull it down. So all we can see is the top. Grab a piece of your scrap cardstock, and I want you to slide this back underneath so we don't get any glue. And I'm hoping that this is in frame and you can see it. Here's the idea. We are going to put glue along the top of this and right along the bottom, so we can still get in there. So glue along the top, and we're going to center that, and then I'll just lift it up a little to get the bottom. So the thing is you don't want to go over your fold out there. I'm just gonna use that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of carefully lift this up so I can see where I need to go just along the bottom and glue that. You should still be able to get a photograph in there. It's a belly band. All right, we're gonna set a magnet before we move on, but I will come back when there isn't so much shadow. Okay, so I wasn't able to film anymore yesterday because of the sun, and my blinds won't be here, I checked, until like April, so I might have to start covering the window with something. Anyway, this is where we are. Here's the bottom and here is the top. Let's grab a plus on our magnet. Oh, you get away from there. And right here, up here, you're going to come down from the top to here about 1 inch and just kind of place it in the center there. And then we'll put the minus on top. I'm going to get that off there. All right, we'll flip this up, make sure your spacing is good. And then we will bring this over, make sure you're lining up with the sides, press, and then your magnet is set. Whoops, come on you. There we go. All right. The next one we're going to place is this one. It's the poems, and we're going to apply glue. Here's where our magnet is set. We'll center it in, and we'll glue that down. Got that down. We'll open that up. Now we have these two left, and it doesn't matter where you want to place it. I'm just going to put glue here. I'll place that one here, and then up here, I'll place that one right there. So let's do that. I have mine down, and this is what we have so far. All right, before we do anything else, let's flip this over, score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, one on each side. We're going to place this in our book. Of course, we'll put our glue in between. And as soon as I get done doing mine, we'll go to the book. And now we'll be doing the same thing we have been doing. Okay, let's move on in. And about 1/8 of an inch away from here, which will give us a good 1/4 inch. And we'll just get that in the best we can. Make sure your orientation is right. I'm going to grab one of my white or cream colored butterflies. Take the sponge off. We definitely don't want that. And I'll get some glue on these leaves. And I'm going to place it right here. Now, one thing I am going to do is grab some of my Rochelle lace. Now, I might go back to the beginning part to do this, but all I'm going to do with this is cut, what did I cut here? 5-inch piece of my flat Rochelle. If you're not using this, that's fine. Just make sure it's super flat, not thick. And I'm going to grab my fabric glue, and I am going to tuck some of this back behind. And I'm just going to kind of go over like that. And then I'm going to put glue and I'm going to stuff it right underneath there. And then I'll clip the tails. Well, I'm about out. I'm just going to use this. And I'm going to put extra because it will absorb. And tuck it underneath there. I think that looks really good. Let's move on to page 6. We're on page 6. There are no pre-cuts for this. We're just going to leave a nice open space so that we can place our photos. We'll go ahead. Oh, I really like this. This is really pretty. I think that this is the side we may want to use. And it is. So on this side, we're just going to do our score tape like we've been doing. One down the middle, one on either side. Shoot some glue in there, and I'll meet you at the book. Okay, here is our page 6. And like I said, I'm going to do it this side to get some of the flowers over here. And we still have the stripes, so it matches perfectly. That looks great. Looks very nice. I'm going to grab one of these, and there is none of that sponge. Now I'm going to grab a little more of my lace here, and I'm just going to cut off a small piece. And I'm going to place this down, but I'm going to really quickly get this going, and I think I'm going to tuck a little underneath this. Right, that's going to need some time to dry there. And I'm going to grab one of the bouquets, the little orange, and I'm definitely going to take off that sponge. I just don't like those. They push them up too far. Get some glue in there, and then I'll overlap just a little bit here. All right, in your reserves, you will have this print. On the back, it's this. Let's see. I think I would like to get after dreams, and we're going to back this to some white cardstock, and we'll cut around it like we have done. Gluing it down to the white cardstock, I meant, and then leaving about a 1/16 of white. So it gives it a nice border and it doesn't get lost in the background. And plus, we can always use this as a tuck. So I'm going to get mine ready and I will show you what it looks like shortly. Okay, here's mine. I think I'll just put it right here. And all I'm going to do is get the bottom portion. And I'll tuck it in between some flowers if I can, underneath there. Alrighty, page 6 is complete. We are now moving on to page 7. We are on page 7. Get my coffee out of the way. We have some pre-cuts to review. The first one is for page 7, 5 1/8 by 10 7/8, and we called it a large pocket. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 5 1/8 across. We scored at a 1/2 inch. We then turned it. We are 10 7/8 across, 1/2 inch, and 10 3/8. We called it a large pocket. Then we had 2 pieces that were identical, 4 1/8 by 6 13/16. And what we did on each one of these, we laid it on our scoring board. We are 6 13/16, which, by the way, if you are not familiar with 16ths, 13/16 falls in between 6 7/8 and 6 3/4. Anyway, we scored at a 1/2 and 5/8 on each one of these. Okay, we are going to cut for page 7 and 8. And page 7, we are conserving big time. So we are going to get this out of our paper pack. And the first thing that we're going to want to do, looking at it like this, is we're going to measure over 9 7/8 and cut. Once you've done that, we're going to turn it sideways. We have the red flower down here. Measure over 7 5/8 and cut. Okay, this is our page 8. Set this off to the side. This is for our page 7. And we're going to work right on in the book for this. So let's go to page 7. And we'll go ahead and leave the same amount of spacing we have been on our previous sheet. So you can kind of line that up and 1/8 of an inch away. And we're going to glue that down and burnish. Now I'm going to use score tape around it and do the same thing I've been doing. If you prefer to use glue, you can do that. So I'm going to get mine ready to go. You can also use this side if you prefer, because that is really pretty. And you know, that we can do that side if you'd like, but it's completely up to you. So I think I will do that side. I'm going to do score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, one on either side, shoot some glue in there, and get that down. And I'll show you mine as soon as I get to that point. All right, I'm ready to go here. Whoops, everything's fallen off. And I'm just going to do the best I can with this. Right about there. Hopefully, I'm not going to worry about it too much. All right, I'm going to set this off to the side. We're going to get our large pocket out. We're going to clip the edges, fold back, and assemble like we have been. So let's get this ready to go. I've got my large pocket. I'm going to get this back out. And the opening is this way, and I'm going to do the same thing. And I can kind of see where the bottom of my other ones are kind of sitting. And I'm going to be gluing that down. So let's do that. Now, once we get this down, we're going to cut for our paper to sit on top of the pocket, but we're not going to glue it down to the pocket. We're actually going to be working outside the album, I'm trying to say. And I'll clean up any glue. Okay, I'm going to set this off to the side. In your reserves, you will find this beautiful print. And if you notice, there's some writing off to the left. Measure over 9 7/8 and cut. Do not glue this, but let's verify our piece. Make sure if we put it down to the bottom of the pocket, we will still have a white border there. And I do. Let's grab our fold outs and we're going to fold on those score lines. Okay, we're going to have a hinge off to the left and a hinge off to the right. On the left side, the outside score line, pinch and crease. You'll still be able to see your other one. We're going to hook it right there in the middle, so you'll have some of your paper here and here showing. And we'll get this down. Whoops, I'm all over the board here. And if you don't get it exact, that's fine. We'll get the other one on the match. Okay, so we have that. I'm going to leave it flattened down. Same thing, outside score line, pinch and crease, and we're going to hook it on, and we'll put it underneath. Okay, once you have it, let's get it down. All right, so now we're going to push back on those other score lines, push in to make sure we have some spacing. And I'll get these lined back up in a moment. In your reserves, you will have this piece. On the back, it looks like this. Let's stick this on our cutting board, paper cutter. We're going to cut right on down to get these two out, and then we'll divide those. And then we'll go ahead and cut off any of the gold trim around those pieces that we might see. Just do the best you can. We can always trim these down a little bit more if needed. So on this one, the right one's going to be underneath the left. But for over here, we're just going to place it down to verify. Let's grab this one, Secret Desire. We'll grab that one. And that should, if I was to lift this out here, so that you can see what I'm talking about, you should have a nice white border. And the one we're working on is the left top. Let's glue that down. Now, I'm not going to set the magnets till I get this in my book. So the one that we can work on next is the inside of the right. Now, you can have that down, or you can go to this side with the heart, and that's what I'm going to be doing. But verify you're going to fit in there. And we'll glue that down. And then next we will put this in our book and set the magnets. And the reason why we're going to do it that way is because some of us may have pushed in our pocket to give a little more space than others. So I want to make sure our magnets connect there when it's going over that. All right, push back and in, get some spacing there. And then make sure these are even. Let's grab our book. And I'm just going to use glue on this. So I'm going to place it all the way down to the bottom of my pocket. And I'm going to glue that down. Let's grab a plus and a minus. We'll start with the plus. Move this stuff out of the way. Plus, doing the same thing in the middle, come in a bit. Then the minus. All right. Double check, make sure I've got some good spacing there. This one too, and I'm just going to line these up as best I can, and I'll press. Then I'll just shimmy that off. In your reserves, you will have this long piece. On the back, it's the cover. Turn it this way, measure over 3 7/8 and cut. After you're done with that, we can just flip it over at this point. We're going to make 2 cuts, measure over 5 15/16 and cut, measure over again 5 15/16 and cut. All right, so that's just the line underneath the 6-inch mark there between, and we're going to glue that down there, and then over here, this one gets glued down. So let's do that. I'm just going to do that, and it will give it a slight bend, and that's perfectly fine. All right, let's open that up. Grab this out of your reserves. And I would like to get out Promise. And we are going to cut out and around, place it on some white cardstock, cut out and around that, leaving a little bit of a border. Here's mine. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right down here. Just a little bit. It's a tuck if you want to use it. Or if you are layering in maybe a picture here and here, you can tuck it back behind a little. Let's grab a little bouquet. I'm going to use the little blue one. Take off the sponge from the back. And we'll just place that right here. Page 7 is complete. We are now moving on to page 8. We're on page 8 and we have quite a few pre-cuts. So let's review them. The first one is a 5 1/16 by 8 7/8. We called it a front pocket. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 5 1/16 across. We scored at a half. We then turned it. We are now 8 7/8 across. We scored at a half and 8 3/8. Next, we had a 7 5/8 by 9-inch piece we called a large fold out. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 9 inches across. We scored at a half and 3/4. Next, we had 2 pieces we cut at 6 inches by 7 5/8. We called them an inner fold out. On each one of these, we laid them on our scoring board. We are 6 inches across and we scored at a half and 5/8. Last 2, we have 2 pieces 4 by 6 1/8 inner pocket. We placed these on our scoring board. We are 4 inches across and we scored at a half. We then turned it. We are 6 1/8 across and we scored at half and 5 5/8 on each one of these. Let's get this out. We cut this already for our page 8. We set it off to the side. We are 7 5/8 by 9 7/8. The first thing that we're going to want to do is grab our inner fold outs. Those are the ones with the small scoring. And we're going to fold on those score lines. Okay, we're going to have a hinge off to the left and a hinge off to the right. Let's start with the one on the right. Outside score line, pinch and crease. We'll still be able to see our other one. And we're just going to hook that right behind there. And we're going to get that down. Okay, next, same thing. Outside score line, pinch and crease. Hook it on. Should line up. And we'll get this one down. And I got a little crazy with my glue. I do have to check for seepage really quick. Oh, I'm okay. Oh, I do feel something in there. And get that up. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is grab our large fold out. Now, what I want you to do is push this in and flatten it out your right side. We're going to fold on those score lines here. But it's easier if you flatten this one out. Okay, outside score line. We'll just hook that back behind. Get it all the way in there. And then we can get it in a little bit easier that way. Get that on there. And I'm going to check for glue seeping. So open that one up. Oh, I'm pretty good. Okay, fold back against your other score lines on these inner ones and we will press in. There we go. And the first thing I'd like us to do is on this one, I think we need to place our magnet. So we have one set left here. And on the inside of your large one, let's grab a plus. We're going to come in somewhere in the middle there, press. Get your mate on there. Now before I do this, I want to make sure that I have my spacing accurately. And it looks like I do. All right. We're ready. Just make sure that you've got your spacing there accurate. And then I'll just line it up, make sure I'm not pulling, and press. There, our magnets are set. Let's go ahead and start on the inside. I'm going to put this off to the side. We are going to grab our 4 by 6 1/8 inner pockets, and we're going to cut out the squares and assemble both of these really quick. I got both my pockets done. I can set these off to the side. We're going to get our paper for inside here. In your paper pack, you will find this print. On the back, it is the clock. So what we're first going to do here is we're going to measure over 5 1/8 and cut. This is what we have. We are going to turn it this way. And we're going to make 2 cuts. Measure over 4 1/4 and cut. Measure over again 4 1/4 and cut. So we are conserving, and what I think I would like to do is I am going to place this, center it from over here and between the outside score line, and I'll leave myself a little bit of a border up here. I'll glue that down, and then the same goes over here. Just make sure you don't get on your score line. Now that you have those done, let's grab our pockets. And on each one, the opening is here. And we will place these, and I'm about 1/8 of an inch or so, or 1/16 from the bottom. It's up to you on that. Don't pucker too much, but you can a little bit if you'd like. All right, we're going to get our paper for here. Okay, we're going to do something a little bit different on the front of these pockets. We are conserving. In your reserves, you will have this piece. It is about 4 3/4 by 7 3/8. Okay, we're gonna do 2 cuts. We're gonna measure over 3 3/8 and cut, measure over again 3 3/8 and cut. And this is what you should have. I'm gonna flip it over. Now this is not gonna fit side to side. What we're looking for is to place this all the way down at the bottom of the pocket and center it side to side, so we get some of that white border there. And same thing here. Let's glue it down. Now, if you have enough of your lace, I would like to use a little bit right on the inside. Now this, you do not have to use lace in this tutorial at all. Some people prefer not to. All I'm gonna do is go from side to side, cutting a piece. I do have some left over, so just gonna do that. All right, let's glue these down. All right, got mine down. And again, it's not necessary, you don't have to. Let's grab this out of our reserves. And I would like to get Devotion and I think Our Love. We're gonna get those 2 out. And once we cut out and around each one of these, we will be backing it to some white cardstock, cutting around it. Whoa, oh my gosh. That one flying. So I'll show you what my 2 pieces look like when I'm done. Okay, here's one and here's the other. I am just gonna add some glue, put it right there. I should have used my other glue, but that's okay. So if you didn't use lace, it's still gonna look good for you. Let that sit. And if you are using the Beacon fabric tack, use that before you use the art glitter on this, because it's sticking down to a lot of lace with intricate little stuff there. Okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and bring in the inner right fold out. In your reserves, you will have this gorgeous piece. And we definitely are not going to be wasting, so we're going to make 2 cuts. Measure over 5 1/8, measure over again 5 1/8. Okay, when you place this down, I'm going to use this one for the right side. I'm going to bring it up and leave myself a border on the sides, and we will be short down here, but that's okay. Let's glue that down, and then we'll get the other one down just the same. We'll fold this one in and go there. All right, getting my second one down here. Kind of flatten these out on accident. There we go. We're gonna get a strip for down in here. In your reserves, you will have this big, long piece. It's 12 inches long by about 2 1/8. And we're gonna look at the dark part, have it over here. We're gonna measure over 5 1/8 and cut. Okay, now that we have that, we're gonna measure over a 1/2 inch, cut, measure over again a 1/2 inch and cut. So I got mine as close as I could. I'm gonna apply glue and just tuck that right underneath on each one there. And I'll get that one opened up. Just like that. So let's glue those down. Looks pretty good. Okay, in your paper pack, you will have another one of these. Turn that upside down, measure over 8 inches and cut. So this is what you should have. I'm gonna look at it sideways, measure over 7 3/8 and cut. Now you can place yours down like this if you'd like. I'm gonna use the solid. I think I want some solid in there. I like this smoky brown look. All right. Now for here. First thing I want you to do is get our front pocket ready to go and assembled. I can't believe that we're almost done putting this together. I do want to, and I believe I said this in the beginning of the video, we are going to reinforce those hinges. This is, the larger your paper gets in some of these larger albums and they carry weight, well, it's a good thing to do is to try and reinforce the pages, the page hinges up against that spine a little better. I mean, you don't have to, but it's a good idea too, especially over time with gravity. All right, that is ready to go. I'm going to find our paper for this. In your reserves, you should have this leftover piece from what we were just cutting. And I'm going to apply glue to this, and I'm going to place it down just like that. I might add one more thing to this that I wasn't previously thinking about doing. So we'll see how it goes. Time to get that pocket on. All right. Now you're probably going to come up a little bit short on the sides over here, and that's okay. Just place it down. So we've got some paper that's going to fit. In your reserves, you will locate this. On the back, it is the stripes. So let's see. I'll look at it I'm going to look at it upside down. My print is upside down over here. I would like to get that butterfly in there. Measure over 8 inches and cut. All right. So I'm just going to apply glue. If you'd rather have the stripes, you can. But I'm going to, place this down all the way to the bottom of the pocket. That should leave me a white lip, but it will cover up any of the papers on the side that you might see. I guess I could have made the pocket a little bit bigger, or downsized this a little bit. We're good. And it will look good by the time we're done. One thing about these albums, if I think too much about something, it's like I'll never make a decision. I won't. Just kind of go with the flow. And I think it looks good. I wanted to use Cherish Every... Faith is a Passionate Intuition. That's pretty too. I think we're going to cut out Faith is a Passionate Tuition. Let's cut that. All right, and I'm going to glue it down to some white cardstock, and I'll cut out and around, leaving that white border. I have mine down, and for this one, I think I'm going to bubble this up a little bit so I can slide something back behind. So I'm just going to put a little line here, and a little line down here. Now, if you plan on using this to put a photograph, then I would place this like somewhere over here, but I'm putting mine right in the middle, centering it top and bottom from that pocket. Find the center somewhere, and I'm going to pucker it just a little bit to give it some dimension. All right, before we finish up on this page, what I'd like to do is get it in our book so I can kind of look and judge the spacing together with the other page. So score tape around the outside, one down the middle, one on each side. We're going to place our glue in there, and we will place this in our book together. All right, got my book here. Get to the last page. Okay, page 8. What you can do at this point is line it up with the side of your inner white cardstock, and then try to line it up top and bottom with this. You're definitely going to stay away from that hinge, especially on this one. I think right about there is where I want to go. So if you end up having a good ½ inch or so away from there, that's perfectly fine. Even 3/4. It's up to you. This is your book. Okay, that goes in first, that one, and then that one should latch us shut. I think it looks really good. I do want to add some more stuff here because we have that extra spacing that I can get away with. I'm going to be using 2 flatter style flowers. I'll use that one here and overlap here. That way it doesn't interfere with larger stuff in there. But I'm going to set those off to the side like that. And then over here on, I think that looks really good. So I'll show you another example of this. I'll just cut a little bit. I don't have much left of the Rochelle because I was just using what I had left. But just get this going here. Lift up some of these and have it kind of coming down. Over here I can add some more stuff if I'd like. I can add an orange. I can add one of the white ones. I'm going to save these white ones for another project. I'm going to grab at an orange, and I'm going to give a little more color right over here. Just make sure that you don't get to where your flower is on that hinge. That looks really good. I'm very happy with this. We are now moving on to reinforcing the hinges. So let's go on back to page 1. Okay, I forgot to turn on the video camera. But in your reserves, you'll have this. And all together here, if these were all stuck in, what you'll want to do is the first thing you're going to do is measure over and cut this big piece at 8 1/4. And then once you've done that, you are going to cut a total of 6 1/2-inch strips. So once you have those strips, this one's going to fit right in between, right on this little hinge here. Okay, and you'll have leftover, so you'll want to hold on to that. But you'll place it here, and it fits right in between where your hinge is here. And the idea is you want to center this top and bottom, so you're going to want this to go over the edge of your white cardstock here evenly, so it will glue down to the spine as well. And then you would do your next one and line it up with where you had that, and it fits nicely right in there. Okay, so I have 3 and then 4. This one lines up with those. So let's get started. Again, 6 1/2-inch by 8 1/4-inch pieces. And I'm going to start getting mine down. And then the other 2 are optional. And I'll show you what you can do with those if you wanted. If not, you don't have to. So once you get your first one down, you'll want to use your tool and make sure that it makes good contact on that spine. And use the edge of your tool to really burnish that down, so it will dent down. And then we'll keep going. Okay, I am just finishing up getting this done. Now what you can do with the other 2, like I said, they're optional, is here is my back page. If you need to trim yours down more, you can, but you can just place one right there if you wanted to. Okay? Let's set those aside. I will decide if I'm going to do it on mine or not when I'm completely done with this area. We had the leftovers, and this is super easy. So I'll just flip to the front of my book here, and notice where the side of the paper is, and then how far over it is over here. Now because we all may have placed ours a little bit over, maybe a 1/16 over on the cover, our strip, we're going to hand cut these. So I want you first to put this all the way to the edge of your decorated paper and lay it down. Take your pencil and go over to the far right of that last one. Now you know where you need to cut. I'm going to do mine by hand because this is really easy to do. All right, so I have my width. Now, one thing is you can do, if you're not good with measurements with the ruler, is once you have that, okay, and you place it down to verify you're all good, you can shimmy it over a little bit to look to where you can see where the bottom of your decorated paper falls. And I'll just make a cut. Now I'm going to put it on my paper cutter and I'm going to cut that sliver right off. So here is that sliver. And I'm going to verify it fits, and I'm going to glue it down, and it should make me straight. Now if you cut yours little cattywampus, you can adjust it, but the idea is to make sure that on it looks straight down here with your white chipboard wrap, I guess you'd call it. So I don't always get mine perfectly, a little sliver perfect. So I'm just going to place it here, and I'm definitely not going to get it to where it interferes with my pages. And then I'm going to use my tool to flatten it down. So we just crossed over those other ones. And if you have any glue that seeps out, definitely wipe it up. Okay, I'm going to use that same little piece because I'm hoping that it is the same over here. And it is, so the same width. So I'll scoot it over and make a little pencil mark. And then I'm going to cut that sliver. You don't have to make this harder than what it is. Just something real easy that looks nice on the middle of the spine. And I'm not sure I want to add those other two little strips, but it is an option for anybody that might want to. All right, that's looking pretty good. Get my tool down. So what that does is help to keep down our page hinges. Even that little bit that we overlap, we didn't overlap a whole lot. It looks good. Now, so with this, I decided I'm just going to go with it. I'll do mine. If you don't want to and you just leave it like that, it's perfectly fine. So for this, I'm just going to bring it down to the bottom of that. Okay, and then the last one I'll do. And again, this is just optional if this is something you'd like to do. Now remember, we don't do picture mats together, but I did make sure that we have some so that we have some left with our decorated paper. That's how I like to do mine. I like mine to match my picture mat framing, to match my paper when I can. And when I can't, that's when I just bring in solid colored cardstock that will match. All right. So there it is. I think that looks pretty good. If you'd rather use something else in your reserves, you can, but I really like that. I think it came out beautiful. Our album is complete. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I should be getting them out a little bit quicker, but as you know, I was sick and then a back injury, a double back injury that kept me from being able to film, but I'm doing good now, so I should have another one out shortly, and also I'll be sharing some new paper that's arrived to the store. Happy crafting, everyone, and I'll see you real soon.